I love that your art has been instrumental in saving some special places from destruction. How did you accomplish that?
Well, the first time was in the Queen Charlotte Islands, out in Haida Gwaii. And our friend John Wood, who had been hiking, he introduced us to a trail that he had sort of flagged and opened up and would guide people on down in the north part of so there's North Moresby and South Moresby. And so I was doing journal. I did journal everywhere, illustrated nature journal. And we were using parts of it for a tabloid that he was putting together for the Western Canada Wilderness Committee. And when they saw our stuff, they kind of said, let's not do a tabloid, let's just publish your journals. So I went out and took another couple of trips and did a few more pages. And John wrote a trail time so that he would write down what you see at this number of minutes along the trail, and etc. And we got Chief Kamshua, who's the hereditary chief for that area, to talk about the importance of saving that forest, because it was slated for logging. It was a cut block, a numbered cut block, and it would start logging anytime. So the Western Canada Wilderness Committee published that book really fast. And it wasn't expensive. I don't know how they managed. It was like full color and like $7 or $8. And it's still, I think we sell it for $8. And they keep providing us with a box full, so they keep it in print. And that was back in 88, 89. Yeah, so it's
Yeah. I can see it. It's kind
Charlotte
of
Island
fading in and out of the background.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I'm sorry about my background.
It's wonderful.
I wanted to show you one of my paintings. That's what the background is. This is one of the paintings I did in New Brunswick. So anyway, it saved it. Yes. It was successful.
Yes, I love it.
We'd go to these like open house, these information sessions for the logging company. And as soon as we'd walked in, the guys that were hosting it would just go into a huddle and start whispering and looking over at us, and because they'd seen the book, and the book was being given to politicians and to the public in general, and they'd had a trail guide that John had written that had times and descriptions and that, but this was basically a reprinting of the trail guide so people could go up there. And our friend John Wood's idea is that get people into the woods, get people going up there. And the very fact that they know about it will be some protection. And then, boy, that was knowing about it, having a book all full of my illustrated nature journals.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And that had the impact that was necessary to stop that destruction.
Yeah, it just never happened. We didn't find out how it never happened. It just didn't. And here recently, there was a dump to be put over in Russell. And this was a mega dump, and it was to be taking garbage all the way from Toronto because they wanted to build it big. The idea was that it was a construction company, and they needed a place to dump their stuff without having to pay tipping fees. And it just, the idea grew, and they got together with another company and decided, let's do it big and make some money on it so that we could charge other people for dumping it. Oh, just greed is just a really bad thing. Yeah. So this would have been like, it was more capacity, this dump, than Ottawa would ever need. And so it was to be it was to be done in kind of a heritage feature. It was a quarry where they'd been taking a very special kind of red brick out of, or shale out of, for brick. And so this was a sort of a permeable geology. So they were going to, I don't know what their plans were, but they were going to somehow keep it from leaching. But the thing is, it was like on a hill or a rise. It's very flat land out there, but it's on a rise, and it's the headwaters of several creeks, and it was just not a place where you'd want to put trash. So so we got together with one of the residents, and that's amazing community there. We love working with community groups, and they learned so much over the years that they've been fighting this, that they were all experts on the geology and the hydrogeology and the biology and everything of this area. And it does have like more biodiversity than anything around. And it had chorus frogs, and it has tree frogs, and it even has moose. And so the environmental assessment that was done neglected to find a lot of these things, and part of it, especially the moose. And they looked for chorus frogs when it was too cold for chorus frogs to be out, and all of this stuff. But anyway, so we got together with this lady, Candace Vetter, and she's a journalist and a longtime resident, because like we talked to her, and we said, we'd like to do a book from your area, and would you co-author it with us, because there's just a lot of the information. So her photographs are in it too, and my paintings. And I had taken my paintings and my blog accounts from each of the paintings. And so the book was put together, and the dump didn't happen there. But they also owned another. This is insidious, because these companies will buy up land, and then they'll hold the land for some time, and they'll be paying taxes on it and stuff. And the municipality will kind of get used to the fact that they're there. And then all of a sudden they develop it because it's theirs.
Yes.
So is it actually happening up there, Fred?
I'm not sure they've actually dug anything.
No, they haven't actually started, but they did move to a place which was clay. And so then, of course, this is also on a fault line for earthquakes. And yeah, and the Leda clay, the kind of clay that it is the kind that slips really, really easily. And it causes landslides and stuff like that. And so it's like, basically, even though it's clay and clay is impermeable, it's a good lining for dumps. If you get it so that this kind of clay, maybe not such a good idea either. And so we haven't gotten around to writing a book about that area, but that is something that books work.
Yes, they do.
And the Carmana was saved by a book where artists went. Yeah. So they had an art camp there, and so up in the Des Moines River that runs into the Ottawa, east of Ottawa, a ways up in Quebec, west of Ottawa, in Quebec. We were in touch with the Western Canada Wilderness Committee, that because they'd asked us to come up, the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society, is they asked us to come up to help with the BioBlitz up there because of Fred's being a biologist. And then I started drawing, of course. And I suggested to them, let's get artists up here, because we can make a big impact. We can, help it become a park and help it be saved from logging. And so that's what we did. So from 1917, 18, and 19, we had 2-week-long, it wasn't 2 weeks, it was more like 10 days, camps where about 15 to 20 artists would get together and really enjoy each other.
Yes.
And do a lot of plein air. painting and work and working with clay and sculpture and photography and poetry and yeah. So COVID kind of got in the way of the 2019, the 2021, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're going to try for 21.
Yay, that's great.
Gonna keep going.
Yes.
We call it DRAW, Des Moines River Artists for Wilderness.
Lovely. Yeah, I was reading about that, and I thought it was great that they got together and again had an impact, a direct impact, in Des Moines. So I think it's great that you're not just drawing, but you're directly impacting nature, nature conservation.
Yeah, I think the public is a really important factor in the protection of areas, because there's a lot that gets done, that gets paved over or cut down, or drained, and it just happens. People just expect development to be going on all the time, and they don't oftentimes. Only a few people that are right around the area know of the value to biodiversity or to the water quality and or to species at risk, and then stuff happens anyway. But if you can get artists out in these places, it gives it a broader impact, and more people see, and they can. The interesting thing, because each artist has their own sense of, and they can express their own sense of the place. So you get this multifaceted expression of the place through art that there's nothing like it.